Right, so in a previous post, I told you that I was reading Paula Chase's Turning Point. This is now September 8th, 2024. I know I'm not gonna post this in real time. So Paula Chase, I kept wrecking my brain on how did I even come across her? Because for me to have one book, but not, I have 3 books of hers, or 2. I have 2 books of her. And I was like, what made me purchase her books? So come to find out, back in the day when I used to have a classroom library, I remember having some of her books on my shelves. But nevertheless, Turning Point is the 3rd book in the series. I call it the Pirate Cove series. I'm not sure if she calls it that, but all these kids live in Pirate Cove. It's known as the hood. It's known as where a lot of things go down, but there's a lot of positivity about this. And one thing I like to highlight about this book, one of the main things that stuck out to me, all of these kids, on the except of Simp was the only exception, Deontay, came from a strong parental background, whether it was their parents, an aunt, a grandmother. They had people that supported them and made sure your behind needs to be home by a certain time. You need to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Simp is featured in all 3 books, but he's a main character in Doughboys. And it bothered me that Simp's mom really was okay with him being a doughboy. Like, she knew what Simp did. And she was fine with the money that was coming and actually wanted to get his brothers, her younger sons, to get involved in the game. Anyway, but Turning Point, you have Mo and you have Sheeta. Each book goes through the perspectives of best friends in the book. So the first book, like I told y'all before, So Done, was with Tay and Jamila. Then the second book, Doughboys, was with Rolly and Deontay, also known as Simp. And then the 3rd book goes in between Rashida and Monique. I really would love for her to come out with another book. Like, this is a series. What I love about anyone who has series, to take the story and take the time to really invest in it and to take it to another level says a lot. Not knocking anybody else who doesn't come out with series, but it says a lot when you're able to take characters and invent new ways of them getting into more trouble, into getting into more situations to keep the conflict going. And I'll admit, my first YA novel really is a middle grade novel. That is also a series. Initially, it was going to be 1 book, but then doing a writing exercise with my students, I came up, and it wasn't with my students, it was a writing camp I did over the summer online. It was free of charge. I forgot the name of the author. It came up with a part where I was like, oh my gosh, this will be a good sequel to what I'm already writing. So what turned into 1 book, turned into 2 books, to now we have a 4-part series. But I digress. So you have Mo and Sheeta, who are known for being the best of friends. Sheeta feels some type of way, like I told y'all before, because Sheeta got into tag, but it's through acting. She initially wanted to audition as a dancer, but she knew she wasn't one of the best dancers. She praised dancers for her church. But Mo got into tag, the talent gifted program and the dancing program. So Mo and Jamila both got into that part, and they ended up getting into this conservatory over the summer, got a scholarship and everything. So Rashida finds for the summer, it wasn't even the whole summer, it was like 3 or 4 weeks. She has to live a life without Mo, and this is hard for her. So her mom, not really her mom, her aunt, y'all, it's so much I want to say about that whole situation. Let me go back. So while Mo was away, Mo's brother is DMing her. Mo's brother is 15. Sheeta's 13. Granted, they're all about to go to high school. Not Simp, because Simp is like a grade behind them. Even though he's along with them, he's a grade behind them. Rolly, Jamila, Rashida, again, Mo, they're all going to the 9th grade, okay? And I just kept thinking, he's 15. He's 15. Like, something don't sound right. Now, Rashida admits she's thick, but she doesn't think she has a pretty face. She has a lot of acne. Her hair is okay. It's not really cute. So why does Lenny want her? And then the fact that Lenny is giving her all this attention, it makes her feel some type of way because no boy has ever given her type of attention. Because everyone in the Cove is trying to holler at somebody. Like, it comes out that in one of the books, Jamila likes Chris, which is one of the new boys that shows up in the first book. Tay likes Rolly, but Rolly really likes Jamila. But because Tay and Jamila are best friends, Rolly don't feel right admitting that he likes Jamila. Okay, but something is going to go down that I don't want to privy you to because I want you to read the book. Tay and Simp, who Simp is Rolly's best friend, but because something happens to Rolly, they're not as close as they used to be. So Tay and Simp find themselves spending time with each other, and people wonder, do y'all really like each other? And of course they deny it, like, nah, it's not even like that. So you have all that going on. So she ain't got nobody in her face trying to check in for her. She's like, I'm not trying to talk to these boys here. But nevertheless, the fact that Lenny is giving her this attention makes her feel some type of way. So you have that going on, and then she doesn't really want to hang with Tay, because Tay can be very bossy. But since Taylor had a come to Jesus meeting, and what I mean by that, she came to the light with Jamila and their friendship. You got to read that book so to understand what really went down between them. Because she understood that, she's trying to be better and not be as argumentative and have an attitude. So basically, she feels forced to hang out with Tay because she doesn't want to be by herself. But at the end of the day, Tay is a good friend, but they're not normally best friends. It's her and Mo, Tay and Jamila together. And Jamila is really the glue that holds the whole group together. Nevertheless, Rashida finds herself wanting to hang out with Tay because she has no one to hang out with. But then she feels pulled because they like to call her other friends the Jesus friends. Rashida's aunt loves church. Like, she's the one who helped create the church and started the church. And if it's up to her, she will be in church all day, every day. And I think she really is, unless something else is going on. It's very rare she's allowed to pick something else over church. So she has her praise dancing. She don't the choir. Like, they have Vacation Bible School always around this time, where they have this community week-long event in her neighborhood. And Rashida never could go because she has to go to Vacation Bible School with her aunt. She feels some type of way about that. But she has these Jesus friends, who her outside friends call her. When I say outside friends, the crew, the clique. They don't really go to church like that, or they don't really go to her church. And the aunt feels some type of way about them. And the Jesus friends, it's obvious that with Jalen and, I want to say her name was Lua, but I might be saying her name wrong. I know I'm saying her name wrong. They obviously like each other, and they do more hanging out with each other and flirting with each other than anything else. Rashida's aunt ain't trying to have her on the phone. I mean, to the point she tracks the numbers that she's texting to see, you're texting this number, that's not so-and-so's number. So Rashida had to lie and say, well, not Jamila, I keep on mixing names up. I apologize, y'all. Mo is at dance camp, mom, and because her phone was broke, she had to switch with her brother so she could have a phone, which was a lie. She was texting Lenny the whole time. That's Mo's brother, the 15-year-old. So she finds herself in a situation towards the end of the book. When Lenny invited her over to the house, I didn't trust it. I didn't trust it at all. And when whatever goes down, that goes down, and you'll find out what happens. What I thought was going to go down didn't go down, but still something went down. And I was mad at Lenny because you're supposedly liking her, but you didn't come to her defense. Like, you didn't try to help her out, and that's not cool, okay? So let me go back some, because I'm kind of giving more away than I need to. The thing that bothered Mo about the whole situation when she came back from her conservatory is the fact that Rashida never told her. She knew that Lenny was DMing Rashida, but she didn't know they liked each other like that. And she said, why did you ever tell me? Like, why couldn't you confide that in me? She said, I thought you'd be mad at me. Rashida, what I noticed about the two friend groups, Jamila and Tay, Jamila has to learn to be more assertive, because Tay will just run you over. Same thing with Mo and Rashida. I noticed that. With Rolly and Simp, it was more like, Rolly was more laid back, but he would let you know in a minute, nah, that ain't cool. Like, chill out, back up. But with all of the stories, I will say this. With all three of the stories is a best friend leveling up in a way. Like, they're finding a new interest, they're finding new hobbies, they're finding new things about themselves and embracing a part of them they didn't know what was there. And the old friend is resistant because it's like, you're changing, you're being someone that you're not, and they're not cool with that. So it's a matter of, am I going to continue to be salty and be resistant to your change, or am I going to embrace your change and embrace who you are and just realize you're still the same person, you're just liking different things, and that's okay. That's the ultimate conflict in all three of the books. So let me go back to Monique, because it's told in, again, two perspectives in all three of the books. So Monique is at this dance camp, and I'll admit, Monique aggravated my nerves. Why did Monique aggravate me? Monique did not realize she was in a dance camp of young ladies who they do ballet every day, all day. Tag, she just finally got to the place now. Like, before it was like an after school program for her, and then she got into tag. So now it's like, you're at school during the day, then you go to this program in the afternoon. But I don't think it's an everyday thing. She expects to be a perfectionist. And she expects, and what it was, at first they felt some type of way because when they brought in the dance program, they thought it was going to be like hip hop, but it ended up being jazz and ballet. And they were not feeling it. And it wasn't until Mo saw an Ailey dance performance, and she was like, that's what I want. I need all of that. So whatever it takes for me to get to that, I want it. But she didn't understand what it took to get to that. And that is one thing one of the ladies told her afterwards, after the conservatory was over. She said, you got to want to learn. And she didn't understand what she meant by that. And then I'm not going to explain what exactly came to her epiphany understanding. But at the end of the day, y'all, when you really want something, you're going to have to be willing to take through some sacrifices to do what you need to do. And Mo wasn't feeling the dance conservatory at all. She didn't like the diet they had them on. Like, they really was skimpy on the food. She definitely didn't like the fact that it was only a few black and brown girls there. I want to say her and Jamila were the only two black girls. There might have been one more, and then there was an Asian girl, and I want to say she said it was a Hispanic girl there. But she felt like she was being isolated, being singled out because she was black. But then she didn't feel like she could say that because she was black, because Jamila was doing well. Jamila actually moved up in the classes. So what she finds out later on is attending the conservatory gives them an eye on who they want to be in the ballet school, the American Ballet School, all year long. So now, once Mo finds out about it, even though she's hating this conservatory, now she's like, but I really want to be in this dance school all year long. You don't know my mom can afford it. I want to be in. It's like she wanted it, she didn't want it. I understood where she was coming from, because like, I want you to accept me even though I don't want it. So she battles a lot because she really finds herself trying to explain herself. People think she's being defensive, which Bo was to a point. She was being defensive, but she advocates for herself, and she will let you know. Like one of the suite mates jumped the bathroom schedule, the shower schedule, and she said that's not cool. We set up. You had said we had to set the schedule, and now you're not even sticking to the schedule. And of course, they look at her as she's doing team too much. But her thing is, right is right, is wrong. Her delivery may not have been as welcoming, but her thing is, don't say we need to do something and we don't do it. So she already feels some type of way, being one of the only few Black girls. She felt like she had to bend over backwards to appease them and accommodate them. And it also shows parents. This was another book I read, and I'll make sure I'll place it up here so you can see it. Make sure your child has the mental capacity to view their concerns or has an outlet to air out their frustrations when they're the only Black kid. Like you have to be open to that, because there is even in 2024, some of our children, some of our youth, some of our adults deal with things that I feel like they should not deal with because they're the only Black person. It's a lot of opposition they have to deal with that if you do not have an open relationship with your child, you would never know. And here you are wondering why something they love to do, all of a sudden they don't love to do it anymore. And I'm not saying that's the case for all kids, but that can happen. But also what I learned in this is Mo realized, I want to learn how to dance, but I need to be around girls that look like me. I need to be around girls that are not super skinny and look like Barbie dolls. And thankfully, this book, I think, was published in 2023. If I'm saying the wrong date, I'll put the right one in the video. But the reality is, that's something I definitely want to highlight. Compared to when I was in Sumter, South Carolina, granted, this was 1985, 84. I remember one dance school, and it might have been 2 or 3 of us. And I say us, Black girls in the dance class. Now I'm living in Columbia, South Carolina, 2024. I know of at least 3. They're not all Black, but they're Black owned schools. And I'll put the names up here so you can see. I'm thinking of 3 of them. It may be a little bit less, but I'm thinking about Beyond Words is definitely one of them. Jenkins Dance Academy is another one, but I feel like there's a 3rd one somewhere, but I'll do my research. I'll put their names up here. The fact that those even exist is awesome sauce. And it's needed. Representation is needed. So that's why when you can develop a program that allows these girls to be around other people that look like them, the journey isn't as hard. And I say that because Monique wanted to be a dancer. She wanted to be a ballet dancer, but she just felt all this opposition, and she thought it was due to her skin color. And part of it was not really, I think, her skin color. It was just her nature and how she was raised. So certain things she was saying she would do, they think she was coming off a certain way, and she wasn't. She wasn't. So this is definitely a great book. I don't think this was a really good book. One thing I did want to speak on that I forgot to speak on is, at one point, as Christians, we have to learn to have a balanced life for our child and make sure that they actually enjoy church at some point. I'll admit with Joshua, I'll admit with my son, it was around the teenage years I started noticing, I wouldn't say a lack of interest, but he wasn't as enthusiastic as he was when he was in the middle school and when he was in elementary school. And I'll admit, I kind of went through that too, if I'm not mistaken. Not to an extent, because I still sang on the choir. I still was active in my church. Joshua was active in media ministry. But as far as like Wednesday night service, I would mostly go by myself because Joshua was at work. Nevertheless, there is a point where Rashida confronts her aunt, which I didn't think that was going to happen, about the fact that you always have me in church. I never can wear anything. Rashida's aunt didn't play. And Rashida finally could, like, she had to wear dresses that were to her ankles, and or shorts had to be below her knee. And she was like, I feel like I can't do anything. And Rashida, when she let the words come out of her mouth, just knew her aunt was going to slap her across the face. But you got to read the book to see what her actual reaction and how that was done. But sometimes kids, you need to have a conversation with parents. Parents, we sometimes be honest with our kids about, are they doing stuff they actually like? Are they actually able to, I know as parents you have to be a parent, but there should be some type of balance there. And there was one more thing I wanted to point out. Like I told you before, Rashida did not live with her mom. That whole situation. So Rashida called her mom upset because of something that had happened that you have to read the book and find out. And the mom immediately, when she picked up the phone, is your mom mad that I won't give her money to help you? Tell your mom, is your aunt mad because I won't give her some? Just goes off because the sister doesn't deal with it. Rashida's aunt ain't dealing with the drama. So when her sister, Rashida's mom, goes to popping off and cussing and being disrespectful, she hangs up the phone. So I don't like how as an adult, you're going off on your sister to your daughter when your daughter just needs to talk to you. That scene alone, I don't know how I'm going to articulate that poem, and I'm definitely going to write a perspective poem based on what happened there. Because really, Mom? And then, no, she made the comment, I really want you, I know she ain't calling to bring you down here now because I got stuff to do. That's your child. Which goes to show why Rashida was so insecure and so needy for attention. Because her mom wasn't there. Now, granted, her aunt, all she knows is her aunt. She knows her aunt. But people don't understand when you are rejected by your parents, or when your parents don't deal with you the way they should be dealing with you, they don't love you the way they should be loving you, that can metastasize to something that can be very detriment to your self-esteem and how you carry yourself. And that's why it takes a very strong guardian in their life to affirm them and let them know, which I believe, I'll admit, I felt like her aunt didn't affirm her enough. Her aunt just kind of just sent her to church and constantly quote Bible scriptures to her, constantly told what she could and could not do. I don't feel like, and she meant well, but she didn't affirm her. Oh, I didn't think I was gonna say that. That's good. So again, the aunt didn't affirm her. Aunt was, she said, I was trying so bad to protect you and make sure, basically, I don't want you to turn into your mom. And she did too much. So making sure you affirm that person who you're taking care of because mom's not there, because dad's not there, and you let them know they feel loved. Like, that's where I feel like Tay different. I'm going back to So Done. That's where I feel like Tay different from Rashida. Tay had somewhat of a strong sense of herself. To me, she kind of overcompensated. Her dad was a junkie. I don't remember where mom was. I know mom wasn't in the picture, but they were staying with grandma, Nona. Grandma's 40. Dad is 28. Dad is in and out high. He stays at the house. He's pretty much the child in the house with Tay. And he's supposed to be the father figure. And Tay didn't take no stuff. Tay was a little bit boy crazy, but I believe that was linked to the fact that her father was not present in her life. But what I liked about Tay and Nona's relationship, Nona can pick up when something was wrong, and Nona would sit Tay down and say, well, this is what I think is going on, or this is what I think you should. She would talk to Tay. She would affirm Tay, which I think was so beautiful about their relationship. But Nona was beyond frustrated because Tay's daddy could not get it together. She said, this is your child. Why am I being the parent of both of y'all? Like, she shouldn't have to do all that. But I digress.